Welcome to Rock the Crown. Hey, what's up, Crown Nation? Welcome to Rock the Crown. And today is episode 4. And let me tell you, we have a super juicy, in a lot of ways, topic. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about obesity and the Black woman. And I'm sure some of you all are like, what are you talking about? Black women and obesity? This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. But before we continue on, I want to, of course, make sure that you know about my queens, Nefertari and Nafisa, joining me. And we have our special guest, Angela Habibullah, who is here, who also, this is a topic that is near and dear to her heart. So welcome, everyone. Let's get to it. Okay, so this topic I've been wanting to have a discussion about for probably a couple of seasons, and man, just as it continues to go on and as we have left out of COVID, this topic is now becoming alarmingly very important. Studies show two separate studies. And wait, before we go on, I want to also say that I am only a certified exercise instructor. I do not have, qualified in terms of like a doctoral type thing. So the advice that we're giving is strictly advice that I have researched and found through different medical articles and different websites that have been basically from medical, also medical websites, however you want to say it. But I have researched, and Dr. Habiba, I'm sure that you have some criteria that may be a little bit higher than my own, but just want to make sure that people aren't thinking that we are super medical specialists, because I myself am not. Okay, just want to make sure I say that before we go on.
Right.
But again, this topic itself stemmed from I had gone on a vacation to Miami, and while I was in Miami, I saw a lot of Black women that looked different to me. And when I say different, meaning that they were wearing clothes that did not fit them, and they had on swimsuits and all. I was just like, why are we doing this? Why? And then just kind of like looking across the board, everywhere we go, I was noticing that, of course, even out of the country, Black women are traveling more internationally as well. And the representation is that we don't look healthy. And so after the advent of COVID, we had some statistics that basically came from like 2018 saying that statistically 60 to 80% of Black women are obese.
Wow.
I don't know about you all, but that hurts my feelings, right?
Yeah.
Every time I think about this, I want to cry, because when you start thinking 60 to 80% of Black women are obese.
Yeah.
And hearing someone was like, oh, that's because they're using a different scale. No. Even on a healthy scale, even if we said, okay, Black women, you can be 10 pounds over the average weight of a Caucasian woman or a woman that is non-Black, right? Even if you were 10, it's still 60 to 80% women are 10 pounds or more over that weight. And That is so serious, everybody. It's so serious. So then, of course, I started asking the question. I know we're not all eating. We're not all overeating like that, right? And so, why do Black women have the highest rate of obesity in the US? And of
Mhm.
course, the answer lies beyond the scale. So, when you start thinking about African American women, are reportedly more susceptible to being overweight and obese than any other race. I mean, I don't know if this is like really hitting people more than any other race. That means Chinese, Hispanics, Asian, just any other race.
Mhm.
That's alarming, right? When you start thinking about like as many races as we have in this world and in this country. And then the Minority Health, the office, Department, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health has reported that roughly 4 out of 5. So that means us four, if we had one more person on the screen, 4 of us out of all 5 of us would be considered overweight or suffering from obesity.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's scary to you all, but
Yeah, it's a
this
lot.
is something that is plaguing our sisters. And so the statistic has a lot to do with the long-standing history of African American culture, socioeconomic status, stress, dietary habits that have been passed down from one generation to another. So today we want to talk about 4 areas that I personally think that African American women need to focus on in order to lose that unhealthy weight. But first, we have to kind of understand how that weight was developed. So, Angela, what do you think one of those criterion is?
Uh-oh, I think she's frozen.
Okay.
Oh,
Is she there now?
there she is.
Angela, you there?
Angela,
Yes.
can you hear us? Okay,
I can
yes.
hear you and see you guys. Yes.
Oh, okay. I
That
think
Okay.
it must
broke
have
up.
froze up a little bit. So
I think
Naima.
it did.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So, what do you think one of those criteria in terms of overweight women, Black women, what do you think one of those is?
Oh, that question is directed to me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
First, let me just say thank you, ladies, so much for allowing me to be a part of this. And as you said, this is near and dear to me. I'm a Black woman. I'm Black. I'm a woman. I'm a Muslim. So, but let me answer your question. That's difficult because it's so much. It's so much, and you can't just focus on one thing. But uh, the Black woman in America, we have been looked at, thought of as the least important person. And I think our numbers are what they are is because for the last 300-400 years, we have been made to feel that we don't matter. We've been taking care of everybody but ourselves.
yeah.
Right.
And so we have to get back to, wait a minute, we matter. We deserve that. We have a God-given right to be loved and to be healthy. And I think our condition here is because for so long we have been told and treated like we got to serve everybody else before we, take care of ourselves. And so I know this is not really one of the 4 areas, but that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do to address this. We have to get this message out to everyone. God, Allah created us as human beings. He created us to be healthy. He created us to have he created us in an excellent mode.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Black women, I love all women. That's why I have to tell people I love all women, but in particular Black women, because I am one.
Right.
Our message is this: we are worthy. We are entitled, not because I say it, but because God, Allah says He has created human beings in the best mold. And so we are worthy, and we are entitled to good health. We gotta, it starts first with believing that. That's the first thing. You're entitled,
Yes.
you are worthy, you are good enough to live your best
Yes.
life. And to live your best life, you have to take care of yourself. You have to.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you ladies have to, stop me. I won't interrupt
No,
me
you're
if you need to. But this is I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission because I
Yes.
see it, ladies. What I do professionally is I'm an attorney. I practice law, and I see the mothers that come
Yes.
in and talk to me about their children. I see the women who come in, regarding divorces. I see the women, and I see us. I see us emotionally. We are just
Yes.
devastated, ladies. And that's why we are self-soothing through food. And that's why we're not moving our bodies, because
Right.
we have so many other emotional issues that, if your mind's not right, your body kind of follows your mind.
Right.
And
And that
so
actually goes into one of our first indicators of why Black women are overweight. And it does say that stress, chronic psychological stress has been associated with several adverse health outcomes, including obesity. So when we are stressed out, this is one reason why we see obesity amongst the Black woman higher. The levels are so much higher than white women and other women. And we as Black women carry a disproportionate burden of stress that we not only put on ourselves, but that other people put on us, right? And so going all the way back to thinking about even in slavery, we had to like take care of everyone else's children but our own, right? We had to feed everybody else's children but our own. We had to clothe everybody else's children but our own. We had to worry about if Massa was pleased and if his woman was pleased. And so even having that psychological on us and not being able to take care of our own. So when we start talking about, yeah, we have to take care of ourselves, we're really still learning how to do self-care for ourselves as Black women. And it's not just about, oh, I'm gonna go get my nails done. It's not just about, let me go and get my hair done, right? Those are physical
that's
things.
right.
We have to think about self-care in our mental state and how so much trauma has been carried over. And that trauma is leading to obesity. And so all of these years later, before, what we would have is we were working in the fields, right? So we had some form of exercise. But now that everybody is not working in the fields, and you'll see that over the last 20 to 40 years, the obese level of Black women has increased significantly. And so studies also show that as you're going through the stress, as you're doing all this stuff, we as Black women, all women are changing, right? But then when you hit that 30, what happens when you hit 30?
30 is going, no, they say it's going down, but I'm telling you, no, that don't believe it.
Right. Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe it. Let me say, if I can, let me say this on the self-care and stress. We have the answers. We have the answers. When we say self-care, we let's be very, very mindful that we don't want to buy the world's understanding of self-care, because the world, in my opinion, is creating people to be selfish and to think about me. Self-care is important, but let's look at it in terms of what Allah requires of us, right? So when we worship Allah, and Allah says, you know, he's created us to live in this world. He's created this earth for us to live. Right. And so in order to live, we have to be well. And so let's keep this ideal of self-care as let's be mindful that we're worshiping Allah. We're not making it just about us, me, selfie, self, you know, self. Right. But Allah is saying, in order for you, you know, if we're going to be like our prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we have to take care of ourselves. Why? Because he took care of himself. You know, when I made Hajj in 2014 and I walked the streets of Mecca, and this is in 2014, and my mind is thinking back, Muhammad, the prophet, peace be upon him, walked these streets. I walked them in 2014, and I'm tired. You know, I'm like, he had to be in excellent health. He had to be in excellent health to walk these streets and climb them. You know, and so
climb that mountain, honey. Climb that mountain.
Listen, tell me about it. I thought I was, you know, in shape. This and that. We climbed the mountain. Do you need something to help you? Oh no, I don't need. I'm fit. Let me tell you,
honey,
I was asking for all kind of help. Can a brother, can my husband, can somebody pick me up, take me up the mountain? Okay, no, I'm joking, y'all. But you know, but so that, our self-care. Let's be mindful, you know, of that. Our self-care is in our worship in Allah. And then let me say this too, and I'm speaking to myself, ladies. I'm speaking to myself. The stress will take you out of here. Stress, you know, I know. Allah says we're given, you know, certain times and stuff, but stress will take you out of here. And so this is what I have learned for myself. To help us with stress, that's when where our faith and our trust comes in. You know, when you say all I can do is do the best I can, and then after that, Allah's got me. Allah's got me. Allah has me, and that's what we have to do, because the stress, if we let it will take us out. The stress creates physiological changes in our bodies. Right. And again, Allah's got us. He says to the believers, all you have to do is ask. And I got you.
Talking about the stress, a couple things came to my mind. So I know a lot of times, you know, Naima and I kind of talked about this a little bit the other day. Sometimes when women are stressed, or I can even take stress and make it, you know, as far as the mindset, you know, when you're sad or you have a form of depression, that's a form of stress. Some people are on one side of the spectrum and some on the other. Like for some, it causes them to eat more and eat whatever it is. You know, we see on TV how they go grab the whole carton of ice cream and sit on the couch and just get going. And then you have some who just completely loses their appetite. So it's like you don't eat at all. And so neither one of those things are really good for you. You gotta, you know, just creating that balance. But the other thing I thought about with the stress, you know, when we're talking about obesity, is that even outside of the food, when you were just talking about just the body and how the stress works on the body. And sometimes, a lot of times, we don't even realize that the stress is doing what it's doing. Like Angela just said, on the inside of your body is doing some things. You know, I remember a point in my life where I was going through some things and I didn't know it was really affecting me like that until, you know, the ambulance had to be called a couple times. And then it was just like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really dealing with this thing. And so just thinking about stress, you know, I know we're talking about obesity and being overweight, but then also the other side with just being healthy, which I know we're going to talk about, you know, eating healthy and all of that, but just how being stressful, period, can have an effect on your body. And that's another thing that we have to work on.
And you know, with that stress, that's again, we are communal people. And that's why it's so important, ladies, for us to commune with each other, because sometimes, as you said, Nefertari, stress affects people differently. Some people lose their appetite. Some people eat everything inside me. Some people, you know, get depressed or whatever. But when things like that occur, it's usually because we are feeling hopeless. We are feeling, you know, traumatized. Like I don't see a way out. But that's when the community, you know, now there are some cases where, you know, people need professional help, but just in general, that's where the community comes in. Because sometimes, ladies, if you notice, you can feel down, or even depressed,
go through it.
and you can talk to someone, and nothing has changed. You can talk to someone, and your shoulders, you'll just go, oh, I feel better, just by somebody saying, I'm here. I don't have the answers, but talk to me. I care. You matter to me. You are important. I'm here to listen. And that's why we have to, again, this world has us, we're thank God, thank Allah, we're coming out of this pandemic. But we're isolating ourselves. We're we have bigger homes and less people. We have, God is the only, God is the only one that is self-sufficient. He made us to be a community. And so check on me. Like I said, you can be feeling down, and somebody come in and say, hey, how's it going? You okay? It's gonna be okay. Nothing has changed. But the fact that they've shown an interest, say, you know what, I'm here for you. And you'll see, we say, take a deep breath in. No, exhale. And you go, your shoulders drop. And you say, okay, God's got this. Okay. Yeah, it's real. It's real, because the seen and the unseen is real. Right. So that's what my message to women. Let's have that love that we used to have. You know what I mean? Right. Let's get back to it. We can't live by ourselves. We cannot. Study shows women who have breast cancer and things like that. They do worse when they don't have that support. They do better when they have people around them to help lift their spirits, to help encourage them. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
When you were talking, it made me think about, even a simple process of, like, if a person needs to have surgery, the doctor won't have surgery on them if their mindset is not right. They will wait until they get to a certain point, because they don't want to take you under and your mind is there. The mindset is such an important part of anything that's going on in your life.
It's key. It's key. It is important too, I think, too, that kind of leads us into the other thing of supporting each other, not just, of course, in sickness, but also in terms of really being healthy and eating healthy. Because a lot of times, I know that's one of the main things too that contributes to us being overweight is the foods that we eat, the way that we eat, the times that we eat, how we eat. All that is also a contributing factor. And it's because we learn to cook a certain way. A lot of us learn to cook a certain way. We learn to cook certain food, and we just keep on repeating those same habits. But when you're on trying to be healthy and on a healthy journey, then sometimes you have to learn how to cook differently. You have to learn how to cook differently. You have to learn how to cook different foods. And if you can do that with others, that just makes it so much more enjoyable, because it is a big transition to change a habit and learn how to go to the grocery store, to buy different things, to come up with different recipes. Because now you got to put some thought to it when you already had your system going of cooking fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. You already had your system. But now you got to change your system. You got to think of new recipes. You got to think of new ways to eat, new combinations of food if you want to do it healthy. So that is something that helps when you're doing that with your group of friends. Everybody's changing. So what recipe do you have? Or what recipe do you have? Or how are you cooking that? That's another way that we can help support each other. And that I think is a huge factor when you talk about women being obese.
Right.
You are absolutely right. Studies show who you hang around with, that you're more inclined to adopt those habits. So, it's like, your friends start getting divorced, the chances of you getting a divorce increase. Your friends are obese, you hang around them. And I'm not saying, ditch your friends. I'm saying let's just change it. But your chances of being obese, seriously. Because show me who you hang with, I'll tell you who you are. And so you are so absolutely right, Nafisa, that first of all, we have to learn what real food is. You know, we have so much. We have so, you know, never before in the history of mankind have we had the amount of food we have in America and the type of food. I mean, if you name it, they can claim it, they can make it. Now, and I'm saying food like, because it's not really food, but you know, we need to get back to, because it used to be, you know, that we would teach skills and things, and we would teach it and we would pass it from one generation to the next, but we're not doing that. And we need to get back to, you know, this is special math, ladies. I'm only 25, okay? But I have grandchildren. And so when my grandchildren are over, this is a time we're in the kitchen. We're in the kitchen cooking, you know, because I want them to be balanced. And they say, okay, we want some ice cream. Fine, let's make ice cream. We make homemade ice cream. And they're like, Grandma Angela, it's so easy. Absolutely. They want cookies. Okay. We're not going to the store and buy cookies, boo. We're going to go home and make them. And you know, so I'm teaching them, you can have what you want, but let's make it with good ingredients. And we don't have time to do that nowadays. You know, everybody's busy trying to be a billionaire, and I'm with you. I'm mad at you. But the things that really matter in life, that really matter in life are the things, you know, that we can teach our children and our grandchildren. You know, I hear parents say, my kids don't talk. I try to find out what's going on. You got to create those moments. See, when I get my grandchildren in the kitchen, they can't help but to talk. And so I'm hearing stuff that's going on. That's when I can drop those jewels. You know, I'm not saying, tell me what's going on in school. They just start talking. We're chopping up onions. And do you know so-and-so did so-and-so? And I'm listening. I'm like, okay, here's a moment. Boom, let's drop it on there. That's what we got to get back to. We have to get back to that.
Something you were talking about, Angela, is saying that people don't have time. People do have time because people always prioritize what's important to them. So
that's right.
Again, in talking about obesity and Black women, number one, we talked about stress. Now talking about eating unhealthy foods. And as you were saying, you know, making things from scratch. It really does not take that much longer to make things from scratch as opposed to opening a or having to run to the store to go and get food so that you can come home and cook. By the time you went to the store, got that food, came home, warmed it up, you could have already cooked a whole fresh meal. But again, it is about learning and understanding how you eat and what types of food you eat. But most people in the United States don't eat healthy. They don't have a healthy diet, and they consume too much sodium, saturated fat, sugar, and all this increases their risk of chronic disease, which of course we know we have the highest rate of cancer in the world. And consuming unhealthy food and beverages such as sugar sweetened beverages and highly processed food. Only in America do they have the largest number of processed food, which again leads to weight gain, obesity. And then other chronic diseases that begin to come into play. Of course, we have high blood pressure, cholesterol, we're overweight. But all of these things, when these things start to happen, we already have the signs. If you have swollen ankles, that isn't how you need to go get that checked out. If you feel like your knees are hurting, you need to go and get that checked out. If you feel like your body is not normal, like you normally feel healthy and full of energy and things like that, you're becoming sluggish, you need to go get that checked out. You need to maybe do a cleansing. You need to do all these different things. But eating unhealthy foods is something that we do on a regular basis. And eating excessive amounts of meat. So again, studies have shown that African Americans, their best food for their bodies are greens. That's why even in African countries, you will see them eating lots of greens, and they're not looking like we're looking here in America.
That's right.
They're eating lots of fish. They're not eating beef every single day. They're not eating chicken even every single day. They're not eating goat and all these things. Why? Because one thing is the preparation of the food. They have to get a chicken from an egg, the baby chick, then it has to grow into a chicken. That takes time. A goat has to take time to become a goat. A lamb is a baby animal, but then it goes into a sheep. These things take 6 to 8 months before you can even slaughter a lamb or a sheep, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you start thinking about the food, yes, it takes longer because it's a process. We don't have millions of pieces of meat like they do in the factories here in America. You're forcing and you're putting steroids into all of this meat in order to make it grow quickly. And then we as human beings are eating that meat. And alhamdulillah, I don't be eating no meat like that. So I'm super excited about that. But eating that meat. And then you have to think about when we're talking about emotional eaters. Mm. Have you ever seen people emotionally eat in front of other people?
Yes, really, listen.
Really don't do that. People aren't going to go and eat 2 bags of chips and ice cream, and they're not going to eat emotionally in front of other people because it's a little bit embarrassing. So also, when you feel like you are stressed out, it's probably better if you are an emotional eater to call someone and have them come over to help you so that you don't emotionally eat. Because I have never seen any movies where a whole bunch of women are sitting together and they're all gorging out, emotionally eating. I haven't seen that.
You're right. Well, one of the things I was thinking about was like metabolism, the metabolism. Like some people really, they only eat a little bit. They don't eat a whole lot, even though sometimes maybe things they might be eating. But then it's like no matter what they do. So what do you guys have to say about people, with the metabolism changing as you get?
But you know what? Let me just say a little bit about that. Again, I'm like Sister Naima. I'm a disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional, okay? But I think the way that our bodies have been created, that it really works itself out. Now, some people will say, I don't eat much. I have a slow metabolism. Sometimes what happens is, what are they actually eating though? What are you actually eating? Unless there's a severe disease going on in your body, your body will kind of regulate itself. Now, sometimes it may be that we're eating too much. Believe it or not, there are some studies out there that say, you should eat frequent small meals to keep the metabolism going.
Yeah.
But if you look at the body, though, we've just come out of Ramadan. And so what are they saying now about fasting, which we've been doing for 1400 years? But what are they saying about fasting? That actually, and what conclusions can we make from Ramadan? We really don't need that much food. So if you say you have a slow metabolism, the way that, just in general, I'm taking out, exceptions where there are diseases, something major, medically major going on, medically, my mind is whatever. But taking that out of it, if you saying your metabolism is slow, I don't eat that much. There are things you can do. What are you eating? How often are you eating? And are you moving your body? Because this is the deal. When you start moving major muscle groups of your bodies, and when I'm not, one of my friends told me, I made a video one day. I said, just move. And he said, okay, I can just do my arm like this. That's moving. So let me clarify that. Major muscle groups like quads, hams, glutes, and core. If you move your body for at least 20 to 30 minutes, it's going to boost your metabolism. Why? Because your body, this is just, God has created the body this way, and it can't, the body doesn't have a choice. The body follows God's orders. Okay.
Right.
It's the mind. The body doesn't have a choice. So if you move that body, that's going to boost that metabolism. Or you got to look at what you're eating, or you got to look at when you're eating. This body has been created that when the sun starts going down, guess what? The body, you ain't even got to tell it. God told it that. Let's start winding down. Let's start winding down. When you get up in the morning for Fajr, you don't have to tell your body. God made that body. Okay, let's get things revved up. Let's get going. You got a day and the metabolism's going to get going. So I say to those out there, if you say you have slow metabolism. Let's look at what you're eating, when you're eating, and if you're moving. Let's look at those. Those would be my suggestions.
Yeah, those are really important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
I can see that.
So we want to talk about lack of exercise because we want to actually end the conversation with talking about hormones, because we have tips on how balancing the hormones. But again, the lack of exercise. I know so many women over the age of 30 that they just do not move, meaning they can't half a mile, right? Can't walk 400 meters if they needed to. Can't walk from the back part of the parking lot in a grocery store all the way to the front because they become fatigued. If those things are things that you are experiencing, that means that you need to do more exercise. A lack of physical activity is another important factor related to obesity. So as women become older, we think that you really movement is forever, right?
That's
and
right.
so
That's
as you're moving your body, you can't just because you're 50, 60, oh, I'm not going to exercise anymore, or I'm not going to walk anymore, or I'm going to sit down as much. No, you still have to move your body. And these days many people have jobs that involve sitting at a desk most of the day. So now what you see is high levels of people having sciatica. So the bottom of your behind, you can't feel your legs all the way down to your feet because you're sitting on your bum all day. And when you're not moving that muscle, it becomes almost overstretched and or numb because you've been sitting on it all day. That's why they say every 15 to 20 minutes, get up and move, because those nerves and those muscles are not meant to be still for that long. And so globally, 1 in 4 adults do not meet the recommended levels of physical activity. 1 in 4 adults. And that was before COVID. And so after COVID, they estimated that 81% of adolescents do not get enough exercise. 81%.
You know what the difference is with that.
And now
totally
they have
different.
Right.
chair. You can sit in your chair and exercise, right? But something as basic as moving your feet, like just tippy-toeing on your feet in a chair, right? Something as basic as leaning over, because every time you lean over, what happens? You have to crunch those stomach muscles, right? Something as basic as stretching. If you stretched every day, you drank the right amount of water every day, you would lose weight. And so when people start seeing these signs of I'm gaining weight, or I am my stomach has automatically began to protrude, especially between the ages of 30 and 55 for Black women, there's a sign. These are signs, right? And that particular sign, when a woman's weight is, when you see women excessively heavy in their stomach, this is a deficiency of your hormone or your excess of hormone. You have excessive or deficient hormone levels. And so what can you do with the excessive hormone level changes that are happening? Because of course you're going through perimenopause. Some of you people are in menopause. Some people adipause. Some people pausing, and they don't need to pause. They need to keep going. It's just pausing everywhere, right?
Right.
These are signs that if you see these things happening, you really don't have to be a genius. You just have to know something's not right. I need to look into this. But hormonal levels, oh my God. Again, we have to look into the hormonal levels of Black women, because again, stress can affect your hormone level. Stress can affect your DNA. So if you are stressed out, what's going to happen when your children, when you become pregnant? You are literally changing the trajectory of what your DNA is because of stress. And then you have children. Everybody is talking about how a lot of the children that are born now, they have this look like they're like stressed out. They're always looking like, what's going on? They're looking like that because we're passing this DNA. on to these children, and now they're little grown people. Number one, they come out looking grown, right? They look like adults already. And they're like, what is going on? They're all like,
looking like you've been here before.
Like
but I was going to say, as far as the children, I know one of you guys mentioned earlier with the youth, and I know we're talking about us as Black women, but also knowing that we are our first teachers as far as with our children. So that's another reason why we got to get ourselves right. But it's like a total different thing. Like even the last 3 generations, we could talk about when we were younger, we could talk about our parents, and then it's like the whole set. I would say even my children who are adult children, most of my children, with them, and then they have children. So we're talking about different levels and the difference in the activity, like we're talking about exercising and moving. And it sounds like the answer, no matter what it is that you got going on, if you're eating right, drinking plenty of water and exercising, it should solve a lot of problems. And so a lot of our children are, whether it's the video games or, watching movies or whatever it is, you're talking to people across the world with your headphones and doing what you do. It's like they're not as active outside, and of course, we're not expecting them to go out there and make mud pies like some of us used to, but
Hey, but that wouldn't be a bad thing, Nefertari. And you hit it on the head. Let me just say real quickly, exercise. We have to get out of the mindset that it has to be something commercial. We have to go to the gym. We have to have a Stairmaster. It can be as simple as walking. As she said, it can be as simple as moving your feet, just moving your major muscle groups. And then let me also say this. You're right. Eating well, drinking water, moving your body. But let's not also forget the family connection part. So, this is the deal. We are the adults. And when you know better, you do better. So when they come to my house, when people come to my house, look, I pride myself in saying I only have one TV in my house. I'm proud of that. I don't have a TV in every other bedroom. You know why? Because TV is not important. When we come together, let's encourage our children. They come to my house, we're going out. That's why I want to be physically fit. We're going hiking. I've got a garage full of bikes. No excuses. We're going on a bike ride. I like to jog.
Yeah, y'all don't know. She be cycling. She be getting on with that bike.
Okay.
We lost you a little bit, Angela. We're gonna wait for you to come back in.
Y'all don't have to my house.
Oh, here she is. Uh-oh.
No, it's also, and if they do play it, they have to earn it. And it's very
right.
Well, that's good. She's a cyclist. We definitely have to make sure we're doing all of those things. But before we go, I know we have like 10 minutes left. I want to run down really quickly because, of course, a lot of people are, again, once they see their hormones are out of whack, they see that their belly is rising. What can we as Black women do to level and our hormone levels? And so this is really, really important. So I want, hopefully everybody's out there taking notes. Number one, enough protein at every meal. Not a lot of protein, enough. And proteins can be not just meat, right? But
plant-based. So we can have some plant-based protein, right?
Yes, we can have plant-based proteins. And remember, right, it needs to be proteins that produce protein-derived hormones. Okay? It needs to be that, also known as pectin hormones. So you don't know what that is? PECTIDE, look it up. You need to have enough protein that does that. Number two, you need to engage in regular exercise. Physical activity strongly influences hormonal health. If you are not physically active, you are not having strong hormonal health. Okay? Again, this is all about blood flow. Remember, we have a tendency sometimes to, like, if something hurts, I'm not going to move it. What happens is that then it gets all locked up. How you gonna move when it's locked up? You can't. So in order to produce the blood flow that is necessary for the muscles, you have to exercise. And of course, exercise increases hormone receptor sensitivity. Hormones are like, hey, here we go. Where all the good hormones are, we can help you, right? And that enhances the delivery of nutrients and the hormone signals. So again, increasing regular exercise. And again, exercise doesn't have to be HIIT and all these other hot yoga and stuff. It can be basic body movements. If you stretched again every day, that is exercise. Okay. Number 3, maintain a moderate weight. Moderate. Okay. Moderate weight. Weight gain is directly associated with hormonal imbalance and may lead to complications in insulin sensitivity and reproductive health. And again, if you've had 3 children, 4 children, 2 children, 1 child, and now you're in a state of where your body has been dormant and you haven't had children in a while, those hormones are changing. If you are now in perimenopause, your hormone levels are changing. Do you see when women start getting hair on their chin? Way too many levels of testosterone. You need to figure out how to reduce the testosterone and increase your estrogen, right? And when you have low levels of estrogen, your cortisol is all over the place, right? And guess what happens? Your stomach is blowing up. You're getting a little balloon in the stomach. These are all important. I'm sorry. This is important in terms of like the moderate weight. You can't have a moderate weight if your waistline is big. And remembering that the bigger your stomach is, the more back problems you have. So your back muscles, yes, your back muscles are tied directly to your stomach. So when your stomach protrudes, your back muscles are also being strained, right? And again, if your waistline is bigger than a certain, I believe it's bigger, your neck, I know it sounds crazy, but your neck and your stomach should actually be the same size. And it's not that it's all the way crazy. It's just, that's how big your neck is. It should be the same size as your waist.
I think and one of my eyes just went up like, what? It's gonna look real funny. Think about an hourglass.
Let me tell you, it's, you wouldn't even realize that your stomach and your weight are actually almost the exact, your neck and your weight are almost the exact same size right now anyway. You don't even realize that because you've never had to measure it, but it's almost the exact same size anyway. And so when you start thinking about that, again, this leads to, again, heart health, all of these different things.
And let me just lastly say, it's a win-win situation. As we mature, ladies, I have, as of yet, experienced night sweats, a hot flat. I don't even know what that is. Okay. I really don't. Just a smooth sailing. I talk to women and they talk about how they can't sleep at night and they're hot and that's a non-issue for me.
Look, that's me. Like, stop eating
a non-issue. A non-issue. And I weigh as much as I weighed when I was in high school. Right. And so I attribute, it's not that as you get older, you have to gain weight.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Menopause, that word is only in the English language. There's no other language that has a word for menopause. And I'm like, God created us to live from birth to death. And so I believe it's going to be on and popping until they have your janaza. Okay. So if you take care of, no, really, if you take care of yourself,
I believe that.
If you take care of yourself and live well, after you get past childbearing ages, you really, it's all good. Cause you're like, I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. I still got that hourglass shape. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
Thinking about this hourglass shape. So this one reason why I wanted to really bring you on as a guest, because I know how passionate you are about just being healthy and how much you exercise, and then always putting these healthy food together. So one of the things that was next is taking care of your gut health. And I just wanted to see, what it is that you can share with us on that, as well as maybe some advice on, what to give people on, even some of the things that you do to keep you where you are.
So real quickly, because I know we're running out of time, but let me tell you, this changed for me. I was having issues with my gut. I couldn't keep food down. I was throwing up. I was like, what is going on? And I couldn't figure it out. So I went to a gastroenterologist. And he gave me some medication. The medication made me hallucinate. And I'm like, this is not improving my situation. And so I took matters into my own hand and I started researching. Right. And so what I concluded was this. Number one of my adult children was having a life crisis situation. And so that stress was affecting my gut. And that's what set it off. But secondly, I said I couldn't keep anything down. I got down to 100 pounds. And people were like, well, is she dying? She what? I couldn't, because my stomach was so upset. So what I started doing from that moment on is that's where the green smoothies came from. I'm like, I need some nutrition. I need to be able to eat something. So I started making smoothies. I invested my money into a Vitamix. People say, how can you spend that much? Well, you know what? The medication the doctor gave me was $50 a whop, and it was making me feel like hell. So I said, you know what? I will spend $400 or $500 on a Vitamix if that's going to help me get back to living. And that's what I did. Your gut health is key. And the first thing that you have to do for your gut health is exercise. The second thing is this. The microbiome, that's the atmosphere in our gut. We've got to eat whole foods. We got to eat live foods. What are live foods? Live foods, vegetables, fruits. Why? Because when you eat that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to go quickly, when you eat that, the good bacteria eats up the bad bacteria and it proliferates. And so you don't have all this gas, you don't have bloating, and you feel satiated. Allah is my witness. When you eat, this is what I eat. I look at it. I say, did it grow that way? If it didn't grow that way, I have a choice. I'm not putting it in my mouth. I don't eat. I eat grains, I eat beans, but I try not to eat things that are in a box. You know what I mean? I just don't. My morning, I've got green smoothies. I've got fruit. I've got, I get up in the morning and this is nothing for me to make a dinner for breakfast. I'll eat, a salad with apples, eat whole foods. That's what's going to turn your gut. I'm promised. I'm not saying it because God says it. If you give your gut whole, real food, I'm telling you, ladies, you'll see a world. You'll see a world of difference. You'll see a world of difference.
You know, she was talking. One of the other sayings that people say is like staying on the outer skirts in the grocery store. Like that's where the healthier food is for you, versus going down the aisles.
But you got to be willing to put in the work. You got to be willing to put in the work. So for me, you've got it. I have an idea. Okay, what am I going to eat tomorrow? I know I'm busy, so I'm like, always keep stuff for salads. You can't go wrong with a salad. If you want meat, I don't eat it that often, but I have nothing against those who eat it because Allah says, and it's, that's what I tell people. If Allah said don't eat meat, it would have been in the Quran. But anyway, if you want some meat in the salad, put some in there. If you want nuts in there, but you can't go wrong with a salad.
That's right.
And just a really, really, really quick tip for everybody. If you want to do a natural cleansing every single week, pineapple and cucumber will cleanse your entire gut every single week. Pineapple and cucumber. So get your pineapple, chop it up.
Or you just eat it.
Right.
And you can make it into a drink. You can put it into a juicer. Either way, pineapple and cucumber. You got me. Pineapple and cucumber. Either way, drink or a juicer. Either way, that will be a method of cleaning your colon your colon in your gut every single week. Okay.
Well, I had some pineapple and cucumber. I didn't even know that.
eat food that after you eat it, you feel good. Not after you eat it, you be like this. Oh God, why did I eat that? No, eat food that just gives you life, and it just makes you,
Right. So we're gonna keep going. It's okay. Lowering your sugar intake. This is super, super, super important. People, if you are drinking juices, you are taking sugar. Stop saying you don't eat a lot of sugar, but you drink 3 juices a day. Stop it, stop it, stop it. That is sugar. Okay. So when we talk about lower your sugar intake, minimizing added sugar may be instrumental in optimizing your hormone function and avoiding obesity, diabetes, and other diseases. Studies show that men should take in an average of 7 grams of sugar a day. I don't know if you all know what that means. And women should take in 9 grams of sugar a day. If you drink any juice in a bottle, I can guarantee you are drinking 23 to 45 grams of sugar just by having a juice. And that's not natural, okay? So you want to have some juice, go ahead and put that apple in a juicer. You don't know how to put an apple in a juicer? Cut up some apple, add some water, to a blender, and you got apple juice, and you strain it. If you want, everybody is trying to like use all of this carton stuff. If you want coconut milk, go buy some fresh coconut, put it in a blender, and add water to it, and you will have coconut milk. Same thing with almonds. Soak the almonds in water. It'll create the milk. Blend it up, strain it. You got almond milk. You don't have to go to the store to get coconut, almond milk, oat milk, all this stuff. You got stuff in your house. Make your own milk, okay?
Hold on, Naima. I wanted to say one thing about the sugar, because we have also natural sugars too. So when you eat different fruits and all of that, your body is taking in the natural sugar. So that's already taking you to like a certain level.
But the difference with that material is that you have the fiber.
Yeah.
So the fiber helps to break that down, and so you're not ingesting all of that sugar. And then you have to look at it like this. You need a little sweetness in your life. Exactly. So it's nothing wrong. You need a little sweetness. Now, when you're going overboard and craving all of this sugar, then too much sugar, then you have to ask yourself, what is missing in my life? You have to find other ways of joy. Food is not the only, it's enjoyable, but it's not the only joy. So let's find other ways.
And remember, the word that I'm using is added sugar. So now I'm not talking about natural fruits and juice. I'm talking about added sugar, meaning when you go to the store, you're using ketchup and it has sugar in it. When you're going to the store and you have anything in a can, it has sugar and salt in it. I'm talking about the processed food that they make for us to eat. So not natural foods that already have natural sugars that do natural things. Just like if you ate a date every single day, it will, number one, reduce your blood sugar.
That's right.
Number two, it has 9 properties that a date will do if you ate a date every day. Number one, another thing it'll do, it will begin to reduce your waistline. That's why during Ramadan, it's not because you're just fasting, it's because you're eating dates. And people who eat dates versus people who don't eat dates have a much healthier experience while fasting than those that don't. Because when you eat a date after end of fasting, it automatically replenishes your insulin level. And your insulin resistance is even, as opposed to if you ate an apple or an orange after you fasted, because then those can spike your sugar level higher than a date. You will never have any increase in your sugar if you eat dates. That's something people need to think about, and you can go study that. Okay, on your own. Okay.
That's right, and you can live forever on dates. Dates are a whole food.
Yeah,
I mean, you could, if you just had nothing but dates from here to the day you left here, you would be okay. Alhamdulillah, we don't have that, but but you know, just again briefly, what she's saying too, Nefertari, is added stuff, because we have to be mindful that the big corporations have intentionally designed these foods to make them addictive. Okay, and part of how do you make something addictive is that salt and sugar combo, right?
Yes.
Put enough sugar, put enough salt, and you'll be eating it till you leave here.
Right.
Yeah, and so the other point I wanted to make real quick about the sugar, the natural sugar, is just saying that that's a way for people to get that sweetness that you might be craving, is to get it naturally. Not that it's bad for you necessarily, but just know that that's something that you're already intaking before you start that other sugar, that added sugar stuff you're talking about that's not so good for you.
Right.
And moderately.
I'm like, this is so good. It's like sometimes I eat fruit. I'm like, this is like dessert right here.
It's that's it. And the God's candy.
Right. Moderately eat fruit. Don't go and have a whole pineapple and 2 slices of watermelon and a whole bunch of grapes.
Or half of a cake and half of the gallon of ice cream. Don't do that. Just get a little bit and say, okay, behave.
Okay, the next one we want to talk about how to reduce your hormone level and balance your hormone level is, of course, try stress reduction techniques. So when you feel stressed out, there are techniques that you need to learn, because you know what your triggers are. You know when you're stressed out. Find some other ways to moderate your response to stress, because again, the hormone cortisol is known as the stress hormone because it helps your body to cope with long-term stress. So what happens is when you start getting stressed up, your endorphins are all over the place. Why? Because they are protecting you. And it's kind of like when you go into a coma. People go into a coma actually to protect themselves from death, really. And so sometimes that's why people are in a coma for long periods of time, is because they're actually in a dormant state that needs to protect them from the over excessiveness of stress or trauma. So when you are all constantly in a state of flight and fight, that's not healthy, because that begins to damage your gut. So when you are stressed out and you're in a state of flight where you're feeling nervous all the time, it damages your gut. So make sure that you also think about, what are some stress reducing techniques? Yoga, meditation, exercise, walking near water, all of those things help to reduce stress. So number 7,
even walking or running with a group. You know, I in the mornings I run with these ladies. We have a ball. We do talk therapy. Nobody's a therapist, but we have a ball. When I come back home, I'm just on top of the world, you know?
Right. Okay, we're going to try to get through this really, really quickly. Number 7 is consume healthy fats. If you don't know what healthy fats are, you need to look up medium chain triglycerides. Those are healthy fats. And there's tons of healthy fats. We always talk about what's not healthy, but healthy fats help also with your hormonal balance. Another thing is getting consistent, high quality sleep. I know that I don't get enough sleep, but poor sleep is linked to an imbalance in your hormones. And of course, this also affects your insulin, your cortisol, your leptin, and all of those different things. Sleep can basically deep the fullness of your hormones, increasing your hunger and increasing your stress hormone levels, and of course your insulin resistance. So sometimes people are like, oh, I can't take sugar or whatever. You need to see if you're getting enough sleep. Number 9 is follow a high fiber diet. High fiber diet is those things that help you to be able to process the food. So again, if you're in a high fiber diet, if you have a high fiber diet, it is essential to a healthy diet. And a lot of people don't eat high fiber any longer for whatever reason. I'm not for sure, but salads, anything green is high in fiber. Again, oats, all of those things, grains, all of those things are high in fiber. And the last but not least is consider following the Mediterranean diet. Ooh, who doesn't love Mediterranean food? Okay. Who wants some hummus right now? Okay. So the Mediterranean diet, estrogen is a hormone involved in both male and female reproductive health, and as well as blood sugar balance, bone and health, and heart health, immune and brain function. So replacing a high diet of replacing a diet high in food, meat, and processed, and all that other stuff, replacing it with grains, legumes, fish. They will help to manage your estrogen levels. And I mean, we need to have some Mediterranean food tonight. Okay. Okay. So again, I'm sorry. That was a whirlwind. I know we need to wrap it up. But again, 4 areas that Black women and obesity need to focus on. Stress. Stop eating unhealthy. Make sure that you are exercising regularly, and learn how to balance your hormones. And Angela, take it away.
Listen, this is what I like to say lastly. Ladies, know that you are worthy, you are lovable, and you are loving. And so when you love something, what do? You take care of it. Take care of yourselves, ladies. You're deserving.
Yeah. And what I like to leave people with is put yourself on the schedule. We got everybody else on the schedule. Put yourself on the schedule. Every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Today.
Okay, I love it.
This was so awesome. I loved it. I mean, I got a lot of good nuggets, and I'm sure our listeners, our viewers have, gotten a lot of information where they can go and take and readjust their lifestyle. Looking forward to hearing from you guys out there, and maybe, drop us some notes on what it is that you're doing different, what advice that you may have. We're excited, and we would love to hear from you.
Yes, and I would love to see anyone who wants to start a journey of taking these 4 items and processing them into their life and saying, hey, in 6 weeks, this is what my life looks like. And this is what my gut looks like after I have done all of these different things. Because I can guarantee that there will be a change. But again, thank you so much, Crown Nation, for coming out. Thank you so much, Angela, for joining us today. We're encouraging everybody to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you haven't shared this episode with a beautiful Black woman, because we are so needed and we are enough. And until next time, we'll see you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.